Hey guys, Slimber here, and today we're doing another video on Hunter Avallone because I seem to like doing videos that are gonna get me fucking dislikes. Because I'm gonna leave a dislike myself like I do every fucking video. So anyways, let's get right into this, shall we? He's criticizing Bernie Sanders. I've criticized Bernie before for far different things than he's gonna criticize him for, and I'm gonna respond to his video, I guess.
Bernie Sanders is an idiot. He's a deadbeat hypocrite who feeds on the entitlement of our generation.
Depending on the context, entitlement's not always a bad thing. In this context, in the context of I pay fucking taxes and I want my taxes to do something good for me, is not a bad thing. However, the context of entitlement of the banks getting subsidies from the U.S. government of my fucking taxes that they feel entitled to is not a good thing. Look into that, Hunter Avallone.
I know just that statement alone will anger the neckbeards and result in a bunch of angry comments from people who unironically dye their hair and wave the communist flag.
Hunter Avallone's trying to roast people like he doesn't look like a fucking school shooter. I guess Hunter Avallone has not moved on to making actual points. He's just continued to insult people in his videos. How intelligent.
But honestly, that's okay. People can be mad at me for criticizing the socialist grandpa, because Bernie Sanders' proposals are laughably wrong and do not hold up under scrutiny. Even more so, he's a hypocrite who's benefited off the capitalist system he vows to destroy.
Hunter Avallone, I think you've been watching a little too much Fox News, well, obviously you don't watch CNN, but a little bit too much NBC, a little bit too much, I don't fucking know, whatever the fucking other major fucking media conglomerates are, because here's the thing, Bernie is not actually a fucking socialist. He doesn't vow to destroy capitalism. He is a social democrat. Bernie does not support the state ownership of companies. I mean, I guess in some socialist economies you can have, I guess, like, small private companies, but Bernie has never, like, advised for state ownership of giant corporations. In fact, I have a PragerU video where they say the Nordic model that Bernie Sanders supports is not actually socialist.
What about Western European countries? Don't they have socialist economies? People seem pretty happy there. Why can't we have what they have? Free healthcare, free college, stronger unions. Good question. And the answer may surprise you. There are no socialist countries in Western Europe. Most are just as capitalist as the United States. The only difference, and it's a big one, is that they offer more government benefits than the U.S. does.
So ladies and gentlemen, grab your rationed popcorn, step out of the breadline.
I love how conservatives like to use, like, the breadline argument as if we literally didn't have a fucking breadline in the Great Depression.
And listen up, because today I'm explaining why Bernie Sanders is a total idiot. But first, thank you to Dashlane.
Yeah, fuck Dashlane and fuck your ad. We're skipping to the actual video. I don't want to see your fucking paid promotion. Does this ever fucking end?
So Bernie Sanders is an idiotic lunatic. Let's dive into this.
I think you think I'm being overreactive here.
Bernie Sanders was born on September 8th, 1941 in New York. Growing up in Brooklyn, he witnessed—
I'm skipping this too. You could fucking look into it, like, literally anywhere. I just want to get to his fucking points. He made me watch his whole fucking minute ad. Can't he just get to the point already?
I think you think I'm being overreactive here.
Bernie Sanders is loud and proud about being a democratic socialist. So much so, he's even claimed his brand of socialism is a pathway to beating Trump. On top of his open support for socialist policies, he's also very vocal about his disdain for the rich. In 2015, Sanders tweeted about the income gap between the very rich and the very poor being the widest since the 1920s, when Sanders was almost a teenager.
Ha 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 ha, I've never heard that fucking joke a million times. Side note, I always hear, like, Bernie's too old. Bernie's too old. He's not that much older than Trump. I think, like, by 4 years or something like that. Clinton, I think he was only older by like a couple years. Yeah, Trump, I think Clinton was only like a year younger than Trump. So yeah, he's not much older than Clinton by much. I think he's younger than Biden, maybe a year older than Biden. But fuck. It's just, when you look at the actual age of the other candidates, it's like, why is he singled out for being old?
Sanders tries very hard to paint himself as the champion of the middle class, the guy who cares about the poor. Like a modern-day Robin Hood, he loves this moral approach, tweeting, "We are living in a nation which worships wealth rather than caring for the poor. I don't think that this is the nation we should be living in." That sounds nice and all, but it's pretty damn rich coming from Bernie Sanders, the loud and proud socialist who's benefited off capitalism, amassing a $2.5 million fortune.
You can have money and be able to acknowledge that there is a social economic problem in this fucking country. You can have money and be able to acknowledge that and be genuine in wanting to help people. That's the thing, right? Bernie's been consistent about his beliefs for the past, 30, 40 years. I mean, look, man, if fucking Bernie having money means that he's not actually going to help people, then we should be having the fucking revolution right now. Because, guess what? You can't fucking win an election if you have no money because of how our fucking elections work in this country. And how does that tweet make him a hypocrite? He didn't tweet out, "Oh, fuck rich people, you can't be rich, fuck you," and then be rich. He said we worship wealth instead of caring for the poor. And he supports caring for the poor, and has advocated for caring for the poor, and is caring for the poor, basically. How is he a hypocrite? Nowhere in that fucking tweet did he imply nobody could have money. Nowhere in that fucking tweet. Are you a fucking retard, Hunter? Maybe I should just title this video, Hunter Avallone's an Idiot. What was my last video called? Is it the same thing? If it's not, I'm titling this video that.
Ironically enough, a large part of his wealth came from his 2016 book about socialism.
Hunter, have you actually read those books? Nowhere in those books does he say you can't make a profit. He just says you have to pay your fair fucking share.
Not only has Bernie amassed a fortune after spouting socialist rhetoric, he also owns 3 homes, his latest being a lakefront home worth nearly $600,000. How many yachts do billionaires need? How many cars do they need? Give us a break. You can't have it all.
Okay, yeah, that tweet is definitely a little hypocritical, but you're still a fucking retard for that last tweet, though. And to be fair, I mean, $600,000 is a lot to me, but in the grand scheme of how much money is worth and shit like that, and how much money a lot of billionaires have and shit like that, that's not much.
Yeah, Bernie. And how many houses do you need? Stop pretending to be the poor man's Santa Claus. You're just making a fool of yourself. Vanity Fair says, Bernie Sanders now has one thing in common with the millionaires and billionaires and other 1%ers he so frequently attacked on the campaign trail. He now owns his very own summer home. Sanders was born to an immigrant, struggled financially at the bottom for most of his life, and made it nearly to the top. It's really quite incredible because Sanders is a direct result of the capitalist system he vigorously works against.
But the thing is, the era he came up in was a lot different than our era. You had a lot more regulation from FDR, from JFK. You don't really have as much regulation now. Crony capitalism is fucking huge. Like, for example, his college belief. Our government used to subsidize fucking colleges, and it would make it a lot fucking cheaper. You could see it in his Joe Rogan podcast video. He discusses that, actually.
According to Boston-based Democratic strategist Mary Ann Marsh, Sanders became the very thing he criticized others for becoming.
Bernie never criticized rich people for existing. He criticized crony capitalists, you fucking moron.
And at the same time didn't fix any of the problems he's been railing about that got him to this point.
He's one fucking senator. He can't fix all the economic problems in this fucking country alone. If he becomes president and doesn't fix anything, okay, I see some problems there. But he's one fucking senator right now.
Bernie Sanders, the socialist lunatic who hates the rich.
Bernie does not hate the rich, you fucking retard. Oh my fucking god. It's kind of like me coming out against fucking, child abusers and being like, oh, so you hate people that ground their kids. You don't think you should beat the fuck out of your kid till he's bleeding everywhere? Oh, You must hate parenting.
Has become the very thing he's sworn to destroy. He's a railing hypocrite, and even college students, who Sanders desperately tries to appeal to, call him a hypocrite after learning about his wealth.
Then those college students are dumb as shit and didn't pay attention, because he has not proposed getting rid of fucking rich people and their wealth. He has proposed evening the playing field, basically.
Bernie's hypocrisy was revealed once again when his unionized campaign revolted against him. One of Bernie Sanders' biggest promises is a $15 minimum wage.
This I do remember, and it is 100% fair criticism of Bernie. I'll give you that.
Now, of course, this is ridiculous for a lot of reasons. One of them being, if you raise the minimum wage, companies will be forced to either cut hours or raise prices.
That's why he's proposing to raise it with inflation. Now, we had this issue last video I did on you, where you didn't understand what inflation was. You, what was it? AOC's like, I'm gonna raise things to inflation. Then you're like, well, prices will go up. That's what inflation is, dipshit.
Essentially making this higher minimum wage useless. Bernie Boy learned this the hard way when his unionized campaign revolted over only being paid $13 an hour. So to try and mend this dispute, Sanders announced that he would, wait for it, cut hours so he could pay his staff $15 an hour.
Yes, I see the headline, but can I see the actual source?
This has been our point from the beginning as to why $15 minimum wage will not work. This hilarious blunder was later resolved, but it gets worse. When the Sanders campaign offered to raise salaries to that level, the union rejected the offer. Why, you might ask? Because the
He finally shows the source! Finally!
raise would have elevated field staff to a pay level responsible for paying more of their own healthcare costs. It turns out that Sanders pays only 85% of healthcare premiums for campaign staff, making more than $36,000, despite campaigning on a promise of free healthcare for all, with no premiums, no deductibles, no co-payments, and no out-of-pocket expenses. So it looks to me like Bernie Sanders is not only a hypocritical wealthy socialist,
Social democrat, not a socialist. Please look into his actual campaign fucking policies and look into what socialism is. 13-year-old Hunter Avallone fans who have just discovered neoconservatism because you found Hunter Avallone, please look into actually what I just said, what socialism actually is, and what a social democrat is and what Bernie Sanders supports. You will find there is a strong difference.
but he can hardly make his own campaign promises come true for his staff. So I have to ask, how on earth does Bernie Boy plan on making this crap a reality for the entire country?
I think you think I'm being overreactive here.
Bernie Sanders makes a lot of promises that sound wonderful and really appeal to the entitlement of our youth.
Once again, entitlement's not a bad thing if you pay taxes and you want your money that you pay for taxes to actually help you and not just help a bunch of rich people. I'm sure we all could agree it would be insane to say drivers are entitled because our taxes go to the roads, right? So why the fuck is it not ludicrous when somebody says some shit like that about healthcare? Why the fuck is it, like, normal? It's fucking ridiculous.
But when scrutinized, they simply fall apart. Aside from his stance on healthcare being a human right, which we all know is completely false.
Excuse me, what?
On healthcare being a human right, which we all know is completely false.
I mean, according to the United Nations website, human right is the right to life. And in certain instances, why can't I fucking speak? Instances, if you don't have healthcare, you might die.
Sanders has also admitted that he wants to provide healthcare for illegal immigrants.
We are going to end that and create a Medicare for all healthcare system.
Senator, would you include the 11 million undocumented immigrants in that?
Absolutely, absolutely. When I talk about healthcare being a human right, last time I heard that undocumented people are human beings as well.
I mean, it fits his ideology, I guess. I think as long as they're paying taxes, they should get it. Otherwise, maybe not.
There are so many things wrong with this stance, I'm not even sure where to start. First and foremost, we have a problem with illegal immigration, and this is the last thing we should be offering. Listen up, because here's how we solve the illegal immigration problem. First, we continue cracking down on those who enter illegally. Illegal immigration is against the law, and those who break this law should be prosecuted.
I'm with you to the most part. I think I don't agree with us separating like families and shit like that. But I do agree with, obviously we can't just fucking let all the fucking like illegal immigrants in and shit like that. I get that.
Secondly, we need to reform the current legal immigration system. Right now, it's far too long and far too strenuous. America is, without a doubt, the best country, and crossing the border illegally should not be easier than applying for citizenship legally.
Okay, apparently immigration is one thing you've decided to educate yourself on. Bravo.
Finally, we need to stop rewarding illegal immigrants like Bernie plans on doing. It's pathetic that Sanders wants to provide healthcare for all 11 million illegal immigrants. This is a total slap in the face to those who actually came to this country legally.
I think that depends though. If they're paying federal taxes, they should be able to get federal benefits. Like if they're helping to pay for the system, they should get it too. Just like, for example, rich people should be able to get Medicare for all too. Because obviously if they're paying taxes going into it, they should get it too.
Policies like the one Bernie is proposing only encourages more illegal immigration. Why would you go through the long, strenuous process of coming here legally if you can just hop the fence and get free healthcare? Another big promise of Bernie Sanders is to cancel all student loan debt. Senator Bernie Sanders on Monday proposed canceling all $1.6 trillion of outstanding student loan debt in the United States.
This tweet sums up how we could pay for that.
One-upping a rival for the Democratic presidential nomination, Senator Elizabeth Warren, who has proposed canceling $640 billion of the debt. I hate hearing Democrats rattle on about this nonsense that only entitled losers find appealing. It's not daddy government's job to clean up after the young adults who willfully took out a loan to get through college.
I disagree. These fucking companies are taking advantage of young fucking kids with predatory loans. Hey, here's a fucking thought. Maybe their CEOs should be happy we haven't put them on fucking guillotines and cut their heads off, and should just take their loss while they're at it. In fact, I don't agree with Bernie and Elizabeth Warren's plan to pay those fuckers back. I think they should just be satisfied with the fact they're still alive after destroying our fucking economy.
This is yet another proposal that just doesn't hold up. Again, this might sound nice, but it certainly would not cancel all future student loan debt. Sanders has proposed making all undergraduate programs at public colleges and universities free. That would reduce the need for borrowing, but it would not eliminate future student debt. Not even close. According to the Department of Education, only 45% of student loans are used to attend public colleges and universities, presumably because tuition at those schools is already lower than in the private sector. A lot of the student loan debt is acquired from attending private or graduate schools. Resetting all student loan debt sounds nice, but like socialism, it just doesn't work.
You've yet to prove socialism doesn't work, buddy. You've also yet to prove capitalism works. But I get it. I mean, it's hard to do when we're literally watching it fail right now.
The Sanders plan controls the cost of public undergraduate education by setting tuition to zero and keeping it there. So financing public higher education would become a matter of the federal government and states deciding how much they want to spend on higher learning.
I just want to skip to healthcare because honestly, the college thing I was never really that big on, but... Okay, so he doesn't really go too much further in it. He goes into like taxes and shit like that, but he doesn't go really too much further in healthcare. So I'm probably just gonna stop this video because it's 18 minutes in and it's kind of a long fucking video. So anyways guys, leave a dislike because fuck me. Leave a dislike, guys. Seriously, I'm gonna leave a dislike, so why not? And yeah, Slimber out.